Hello, Adventure Racers. My name is Chip Dodd with ThisABILITY Adventures, and this is the course overview for the Beaver Burrr Option 2. What Option 2 is are any teams that need to rent a boat from the park. Because the original design of this course is there's a boat drop that's outside. You have to go outside the park to drop the boats. The park staff said it's not okay to take their rental gear out of the park. So we've redesigned this Option 2 of the course. So you still have a good time out there. It's still great training, but it complies with the park ranger's requests. So let me do a quick screen share and I'll do the general course overview, and then we'll talk about what's a little bit different for the Option 2. So let me do a quick screen share. Here we are. This is, you can tell this is Virginia. There's Washington, D.C. up at the top, Richmond, and the Norfolk, Virginia Beach area. Gloucester is, they call this Middle Peninsula. Gloucester is right here. Kind of a rural area. It's easy to get to from the south, the southwest, or come down from the northwest, basically. So it's pretty accessible. The one thing I will caution, if any of you guys drive Teslas or other electric vehicles, there are no charging stations on this Middle Peninsula. So you want to be sure to charge your car accordingly. Don't get in here to this race with 10% left, because you're going to be walking or getting towed. Okay, enough of that. Let's get into the course. So here's Gloucester. This is the historic Gloucester Courthouse area. The Beaver Dam Lake Park basically is just north of this. It's this park, whole entire lake here. There's two park entrances. I'll call this one the south lot and this one the north lot. Because you do not have your own boat and you need to rent boats, head to the south lot first. You come in here. I'm going to go ahead and switch to satellite photo so you can see it. There is a main lot here, and you should be getting here pretty early because this is a pretty burly course, especially if you're doing it in the wintertime because it's getting dark early. So be sure to get there early. It leaves you enough time to do this course. Don't show up at noon and think that you're going to complete this. There's no way you can do that. And very, very low chance. There is some race teams have been able to do it in 4.5, 5 hours, but just leave yourself, 6 hours or so before sundown. There is a gate right as you come in, and you're going to want to look at the time on the gate because they tell you what time the park closes. And when they say close, it means like you need to be in your car and out of the park. They want to shut that gate at that time. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys be respectful to the park rangers and all that. They don't want to be hunting for you out there in the woods after hours because you got lost and now it's an emergency rescue situation. I told them that adventure racers are very polite and we would love to be out there, of course, and not cause any trouble. So please plan your course strategy so that you can be back to your car at least 30 to 45 minutes before that gate gets closed, okay? You still got to turn in your rental gear and all that kind of stuff. So leave yourself time so that these park rangers will continue to let us have the Beaver Burrr at their park. Okay, come on in. You can park down here. There should be plenty of parking. There is an overflow lot right in this area if you need to, but I seriously doubt you'll need to do the overflow as long as you get there pretty early. Park ranger station is up here in the north end of this parking lot, and then the boat rental stuff is down here. So head in here first and go ahead and rent your boat and pay your boat launch fee. I think it's like $5 per boat. And then once you got your boat stuff, your boat launch stuff, put the proof of purchase in your windshield. That's what they asked everybody to do, just so that they know that you have rented a boat. Okay, so now let me switch back over to terrain view. So now here we're back out to the park. Okay, so here's the general gist of the race. There's a trek section, a bike section, and a paddle section. We recommend keeping the trek section at the end because it is near the gate. And that way, if you need to cut some points to make it back to your car, you're not too far away. We recommend starting off on the paddle section. Basically, the paddle section, there are paddle points on primarily the west side of this lake. That was kind of the original design of the course. And then there's bike points all around the outside of the lake on the east side. So because the original design had it so you do a boat drop, meaning you could bike over to your boats and then switch out and then boat back, That's not okay with the park staff. So option 2, we had to come up with a creative idea. How do we continue to do this course and give the racers some course strategy to figure that out? But obviously this means you got to do an out and back with the boat. It's going to take a little bit more time. So here's the deal. Basically, you're going to leave from here. You're going to paddle all the way up and all the way up until this area. And there's paddle points along the way here. There's right about the middle, there's an E11. And so all of those bike points have to be done by bike up until E11. But once you're north of E11, you can choose to get the bike points by the boat or the bike, because obviously there's going to be some up in this area. So whichever one you think is more efficient, it's up to you. You can get as many of the ones above E11. You can choose to get them on the boat or the bike. So you may want to take your bike up to here and back down, or you may just want to stop at E11, turn around, and then you're going to get all these on boat or foot. Like if you park your boat, you can run, get a couple points and come back to your boat. But it's up to you to come up with your own course strategy. But so after you've gotten all of as many boat points as you want to get, of course, it's okay to skip points. This is just a training thing. It's not a real race. You're not getting points for the national championships of USARA. So, so plan your day accordingly. Feel free to cut some of the points that are further out if you need to. Okay, so you're going to paddle yourself back to the Beaver Dam parking lot. Transition over, lock up the rental boats. Either lock them up or leave yourself some time to turn them back in. So then you don't have to worry about it while the park's getting dark and you're trying to leave. But it's up to you. Some people are very competitive. So if you want to go really fast, then just lock the boats up somewhere and transition over to your bikes. Okay, so the bike section, you're going to follow the multi-use trail because there are many trails out here and many of them are hiking only. The multi-use trail is the only allowable trail to bike on. It's a lot of fun. It starts off like a little paved golf cart trail, but it eventually turns into single track. But it's multi-use because it means it's there'll be horses on it as well as people. So be very, very careful. You don't want to come riding up behind a horse really, really fast and scare the horse and throw the rider. That'd be really bad. We want everybody to have a great, safe day out there. So be respectful, communicate with the person on the horse to see, most likely you need to stop and let the horse come by you if you're approaching the horse from the front. If you're coming up on the horse from the rear, a lot of times you stop riding, communicate with the rider, and they'll move the horse over off the trail and then you can ride by. But the horse needs to be able to see you, because if you come up on a horse from behind, they can get spooked and throw their rider. So please be respectful of especially the horses and then the equestrian folks, but also the hikers. The multi-use trail does have hikers and walkers with dogs and stuff, maybe strollers. Again, please be respectful of them. We want the park staff not to tell us to stop doing this race at their park, because this is a really great place to do a race. So just be respectful of everybody, and then it's okay to hustle when there's nobody around. All right, so back to biking. Use the multi-use trail. You're going to come around and around and around and get all the bike points that you want to get by bike all the way around and back up to the top. And then on the bike, you got to come back around because we can't do the bike drop. So you got to come back all the way back down to the park. That'll be probably an 18-mile round trip. It's a lot of mountain biking on single track. So that's why it might be in your best interest to give up some of these bike points and let the paddle get them, because you're already out there in the paddle and get them really, really fast. But it's up to you to make that decision after E11, which is about halfway up the lake. Okay, so now you've biked back to the Beaver Dam Park. Time to transition over to Trek and get as many of the Trek points as you can get while making it back to your car before dark. So most of these Trek points are going to be in this area. There's some hiking trails around here that are off limits to the bike. It is kind of a loop, so it's not an out and back. And there are some A points. So it'll put you kind of going into the woods a little bit to try to find some stuff that's not so obvious. And then once you get back to your car after the trek, you basically finish the course. Now it's time to transition over to your normal clothes. If you haven't turned in your paddle gear, go ahead and get your paddle gear turned in and exit the park before the gate closes. So that is the Beaver Burrr. This is a great course. We're leaving it open from the winter all the way through probably, can't remember when we said we'd turn it off, but it's such a great course. We're probably gonna leave it open for a while, but at some point we need to close it for the competitive folks. But even if we close the competitive period, we'll probably leave it open just as a training course to into the summer, maybe even, although I think we might even leave it till the end of the year. I'm trying to think of anything else. Yeah, I think that's it. Just be safe, have a really good time. Oh yes, the lake does freeze if it gets like in the 20s. We've had already some teams had to kind of ice break through it. So I'd recommend not doing it if it's too far below freezing, because there's some checkpoints you may not be able to get to if you can't ice break through it. Also, obviously, the colder it is, the more dangerous it is. And so at some point when you're paddling out here, you got to cross the lake, and it's a pretty big lake. So be very, very careful when crossing the lake. Have the correct gear on, have your stuff in a dry bag, have some dry layers. Like whenever I'm on the water, I'm always assuming I'm going to get capsized. What happens to your cell phone if that happens? What happens to your pack or your layers? You want to have all this stuff thought through. Don't wait until you bump a log and it tips you over and now you're freezing cold and you're pretty far away from a car or rescue. So just have all that in mind. Be very, very safe, especially if it's in the cold. In summertime, it's like big whoop. You jump back in the boat, you're good to go. Wintertime can be dangerous. So just take that under consideration. We do have a navigation tutorial. So if you are brand new to adventure racing and you don't want to have to figure this thing out, we have a tutorial where I've gone and told you exactly how to attack every checkpoint. It's basically just a clinic on navigation. So that way you can show up to this course and you basically know the solution to all the problems and some of the strategies that we would recommend. That does make it so you're not competitive in the official rankings. But again, if you're new to adventure racing, these courses are perfect because they're just a training. It's on your own time. There's no pressure other than to get out of there before daylight and just enjoy yourself. Break it into 2 days if you want. Do the navigation training or flip flop with the maps and have one person do one leg and one person do another leg. However, we just want you guys to have a good time and hopefully fall in love with adventure racing. So thank you so much, and we'll see you out there.